Hello everyone, my name is Amadeus Paulussen. I am the initiator of the Linux Audio Development Initiative. And with this video, I would like to actually give you a little overview of what you can do right now with the Linux Audio Development website at linuxaudio.dev and what we have planned for the future. And for this, I'm going to share my desktop with you, so you can see the website, and I show you step by step what's on the website. Right. Okay. So if you go to linuxaudio.dev, what you see right now is that it's a single page website basically. So there is no navigation right now. We of course plan to implement navigation in the future, but right now it's very simple. What you have basically is the first section is the mission section, where there's some description of what actually is the goal of this initiative. And I started with this because I wanted to have more plugins on Linux. But nowadays it's more like just software and plugins, right? And with this I basically mean not only stuff like sample managers and things like that, but also maybe control centers for your audio interface and stuff like that, so that you have all the necessary tools on Linux to actually make music. And there's still a lot of vendors who do not support Linux, but more on that later. Then something that we have been working on a lot with people from the Linux audio community is this FAQ section here. There is a section that basically gives you a little bit an idea of how does music production look like on Linux. There's of course tons of flavors, like the different DAWs that are available, like about Pipewire a little bit, and the range of available plugins. And then there is like, why should you offer your software for Linux, and how large is the target audience, and should everything be like free and open source, or can it also be proprietary, etc., etc. So this is this whole FAQ section with a lot of interesting background information, especially for developers, I think. Like, you know, like what formats should software be distributed with, like what formats of plugin formats should you support, and then like there's also information on the frameworks that you can use to make your products work on Linux, etc., etc. Then the next section is called Developer Spotlight, and what you see here is basically this carousel, and the ones that are like with full color, they actually contain an interview. So the ones that have no color, they contain no interview, and the ones with the ones with just a border, they basically indicate that this is an open source vendor. And yeah, so this is one way to look at this. There's also like it's randomly sorted, so every time you come you see something else, but it's already quite a few things. So you can also consult this list version here, and on the list version you see all the vendors. Here is all the links to the vendor websites. You see what do they offer, if they are closed source or open source, and if I already made an interview with them, you have the link to the respective interview here as well, and then you can have a look at all the interviews and stuff like that. So this is the list version of that. And in this section here on the website, on the landing page, you also have just the interviews, like that you can directly jump into the interviews. This is always updated, of course. And then the absolute same format for the artist spotlight, where you also have like the list of interviews that already have been made, and you see just like a list of artists that work with Linux. And the same here, there's this list version where you see like the artists, and like for instance, if you should be on this list, or you spot a mistake, like also for instance on the vendor list that I showed you before, there's always the possibility to let me know, and I'm happy to update it accordingly. I do my best to update it all the time, but this is of course a moving thing, and especially the artists, I don't know many Linux artists. So if you are a Linux artist and you're not on the list, let me know. And then here there's this About Us section. And as I said, like in the beginning, I started this more or less on my own, and then I had a lot of help, especially for the content, by some guys from the community and also from the Linux Musicians Forum. And I plan to actually make all of this open source, so that it's maybe still my initiative, but everyone can easily contribute. And I'm working on this because right now the website is more or less statically. That means I maintain everything here. I can show you. I maintain everything basically in Markdown. So yeah, that's, for instance, here is I think the FAQ list, and then these are the interviews, etc. So it's very tailored to my kind of way to work with stuff, and I need to make this more accessible so that people easily can contribute, maybe let's say new vendors or yeah, stuff like that. And I also hope, of course, that more people help me to actually reach out to vendors. Like, for instance, here in the how to help section, that would be the next section on the website. I made an email template available. You can basically copy this email template and send it to the people that you think should support Linux. In here is a link to basically the target audience size. There's some links to the FAQ section, and so basically you can just copy this and send it to everyone that you think should support Linux, and they will be pointed to get back to me so that you're not annoyed with them asking for stuff maybe. And then also, of course, if you see something that can be improved, that would be just help us to improve the website, which should also be easier in the future when everything is open sourced. And then there is also a page called Linux Support Request Tracking. It's actually very interesting to go here and have a look at it. Let me refresh it so that it's not an old version. And what you see here is actually an up-to-date list of the vendors that I contacted and still have to contact. Like here you see these still need to be contacted, and the ones that actually successfully started to make Linux build of the plugins, and the ones that are in consideration. You know, like many actually say, yeah, interesting, and maybe we do it, maybe we have no time right now or whatever, but these are all in consideration, and from time to time I follow up with them. Because really, I can tell you this, like since I started this initiative, things have started to move a lot. Like many people actually get back to me with, like, at least they think the initiative is cool and they would actually love to support Linux. Maybe they don't have the time, maybe they don't have the know-how, and some even, as you see here, some are already in progress to work on making Linux builds, and some at least have it planned but cannot say when they will start. And then there's a bunch that did not answer, which I also follow up regularly, but some of them like really never answer. And then there are some that rejected, that basically had whatever reason, the target audience is too small, or they have a framework that doesn't support Linux or whatever. So I say they have rejected for now, because I believe that as soon as they see the movement growing, that they might reconsider or invest whatever they need to invest to be able to support Linux. This is one thing. And the last thing actually here is contact information. There's also some data protection and imprint stuff that is maybe interesting to you, but these are basically the easiest ways to get in contact with me. And yeah, so that's basically the quick overview of the website. I have some more stuff, like for instance, I have a dedicated list just for me right now. It's public, but it's not linked anywhere, which basically just contains all the information on the ongoing interview stuff, because it's a lot of work for me to work on these things, and there's actually many interviews coming now with really interesting artists and vendors. And so there's also a list. I'm not sure if I should make it public. I'm also not sure if it's correct to do that for the people who are in interviews. So maybe they don't want to know that they are in interviews in case they decide to maybe cancel the interview, which never happened. But I had some doubts about publishing this list, but this list also exists, and is quite big. There's quite a few interviews coming, and I spend a lot of time with this. So future plans, I would say, make it more broader. And for me, this is like, it has many angles, you know. Like one angle is that right now it's called Linux Audio Development, which is like really geared towards developers. But I think this information could also be interesting to people who are interested to actually switch to Linux, to make music on Linux. And one idea that someone from the community brought up is to basically offer sort of templates, you know, like that says this person uses that computer, that audio interface, and that software, and it's a perfect package, or it has maybe this and that drawback, or whatever, that we have like replicable blueprints for people who are interested to make music. That's one thing that we want to work on. And then there's tons of little like technical and ergonomical improvements to the website that I want to implement. As said, I want to make everything open source. I, at one point, for sure, would also like to do like real video interviews, more maybe PeerTube and YouTube content, but yeah, step by step. So right now I am also in a situation where I have to make sure that I still have a little time to actually earn some money. So I don't know, maybe in the future we also have to think about to maybe raise some money with the Linux Audio Development Initiative so that I can maybe spend more time working on it. I don't know, but these are all just thoughts in my head. Yeah, I wanted to make this first video and I will upload it now to the PeerTube and YouTube channels, and I hope to get some feedback from you if there's like interest in more specific things, and then I'm happy to make more videos in the future. Okie dokie. Thank you very much and talk to you soon.